Hamayim shetifunu nachla avar al nafshenu. Azayrav al nafshenu hamayim hazidonim. Baruch Adonai shaloi nesananu taref lishinehem. Nafshenu kitzipor nimlatami pach yekshni hapach nishbar v'anachnu nimlatnu. Ezreinu b'shem Adonai oisi shamayim va'aretz. We're now going to say Kapitel Chaf. It should be a zechus of everyone who needs a Yeshua, Geula, Refuah, and especially for the hostages, that they should come home safe and sound and healthy, and for the soldiers in Eretz Yisrael, that they should be strong and be protected. Lamnatseach mizmar leDavid, Yancha Adonai b'yom Sarah yisagevcha Shem Elihei Yaakov, Yishlach Ezrecha mikodesh mitzion yisadeka, Yizkar kol min chaysecha v'yilascha yidash nesela, Yitan lecha chavavecha v'chol atzascha yimale, Niranin abishuasecha v'Shem Eloheinu nidgo, Yimale Adonai kol mashalasecha, Ati yadaiti ki yeshi Adonai Mashiach yaneu mishmei kachay b'gvuras yeshe yaminai. Ela v'recha v'ela v'susim v'anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu nazkir. Hema karu v'nafalu v'anachnu kamnu v'nisaydad. Adonai Hashia hamelech yanenu v'yem karenu. The Rabbi spoke about very much how tziyim b'mishpat yipada v'shaveh b'tzedakah. We should strengthen giving tzedakah. We should make our giving of tzedakah a lot more stronger during these days. So please join in giving tzedakah. Gedei tzedakah shemekareves es hageula. I was reading from something which the Rabbi wrote about how there's different time periods within the 3 weeks. There's a total of 5 time periods. And as the time periods move on, we should strengthen our learning of Torah and giving of tzedakah. So the first time period started from the 17th of Tammuz until Rosh Chodesh Menachem. The second time period is from Rosh Chodesh Menachem until Tisha B'Av, or Erev Tisha B'Av, I should say. And then we have Erev Tisha B'Av and the day of Tisha B'Av. Actually, I think that was 4, so I'm missing something over there. But either way, today, Rosh Chodesh Menachem Av is a special day to add and strengthen in our Torah learning. So we did Tehillim and Tzedakah, and now we're going to move on to the segment of Torah. And we're excited to hear once again from Rabbi Mendel Mayzlesh, Shliach in Mexico City, who's going to share Hilchos Bais Habchirah.
Thank you very much. And the last thing that was mentioned, that the Rebbe asked to increase in these days, in Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah. Interestingly, today is also Rosh Chodesh Av, and it's the yahrzeit of Ari Nakayin. I think it's the only yahrzeit that's mentioned in the Torah with a date. The first day of the 5th month. So today is also Ari Nakayin's yahrzeit. And we're going to be speaking about one of the parts of the Beis Hamikdash that's very connected to Ari Nakayin. Today we're going to be speaking about the menorah. And as we know, that by the Chanukas HaMishkan, so Ari Nakayin felt bad that he didn't have part in the inauguration with the rest of the Nisim. And Hashem tells him, don't worry, because your mitzvah, your involvement in the Chanukas HaMishkan is greater than everyone else's. You have Hadlakas HaNedis. Ari Nakayin has the mitzvah of lighting the candles in the Beis Hamikdash and the menorah. And today we're going to focus on the menorah. So first, we're going to read from inside the halachis, the way it's brought down in the Rambam. And then we're going to focus a little bit on the Rebbe's Pirushim on the concept of the menorah. There's a lot what to talk about, and Be'ezus Hashem, we'll speak about it after seeing the halachis inside. So we're going to read together Hilchos Bais Habchirah, Perek Gimel, starting from the beginning. So now on the screen. Okay. HaMenorah. Now the Rambam is going to speak in this perek. The Rambam is going to speak about the menorah. Mefureshes tzurasa b'Torah. The Torah tells us exactly how it looks, what its form is. Varba gvim u'shnei kafterim u'shnei prachim hayu b'knei ha'menorah. So the Rambam says that there were 4 cups, 2 circles, 2 buttons, 2 flowers were on the base of the menorah. So we all know how the menorah looks. It's 7 candles. There are 3 coming out from each side. And then we have the center, the main kaneh from the menorah, the base of the menorah, the center candle. So we just mentioned the form of the center candle, that the center stick of the menorah has 4 cups, 2 buttons, and 2 flowers. The Rambam Shenamar, as it says in the pasuk, "U'v'amenorah arba gvi mishukadim kafterim mishukadim kafteirah u'prachel." So, as we see in the pasuk, this is what the center corner of the menorah had. V'oid parach shlishi hayasamach li'reicha shel menorah, shenamar ad yireicha ad pircha. And there was another flower, a form of a flower that was next to the base of the menorah, as it says in the pasuk, ad yireicha ad pircha, till the base, till the flower. So next to the base, there's also a form of a flower. So the first halacha, we spoke about the center kone of the menorah, the center branch of the menorah coming out from the base. This is what we just mentioned now. Soon, obviously, we're learning the halachas in the Rambam. We're going to show again the famous picture that the Rambam drew of the menorah. First, we're going to go through all the halachas, and then we'll see how that looks in the drawing of the Rambam. Halacha Bais. V'shalish raglayim hayu la, u'shleisha kafterim acherim hayu b'knei hamenorah, shemihen yitzin sheishes akanim, shleisha mitzad zeh, u'shleisha mitzad zeh. So the Rambam says that the base of the menorah had 3 feet. In other words, it has 3 parts sticking out, holding up the base and holding up the menorah. And then there are another 3 buttons, and from each one of these buttons, so the three kanim come out from each side of the menorah. So again, we have the center kana of the menorah, the center branch of the menorah, with the 4 cups, the 2 buttons, and the 2 flowers, another flower on the base of the menorah. And now we're saying that the center branch of the menorah also has 3 buttons, that out of each of these buttons, a branch comes out from each side of the menorah. Okay, and on each branch of the menorah, each one of the 6 branches, each branch has 3 cups, and it has a button and a flower. Hakol mishukadim is telling us that the way the menorah was done, it wasn't just a form of a perach or of a button, a circle, or the cups. Mishukadim means like a shaket, I guess, like a walnut, that it has a special form. It was designed in a special fancy way, that it was bailet, it was sticking out as if it was like a nut, that it would stick out in a very special way. Mishukadim means that it had a special design that sticked out. We're going to go to the next halacha now, halacha Gimel. Nimtzeis kol agvim shnayim ve'esrim. So altogether we have 22 cups. Va'prachim tisha, we have 9 flowers in the menorah. Va'kafteirim echad asar, and there are 11 buttons. V'kulan ma'akvin zeh. And for the menorah to be the way it should be, you need all of them together. Each one depends on the other one. You need the full shape, the full form of the menorah with all its buttons, flowers, and cups for it to be the way it should. And even if we're even if we're missing one of the 42 details of the menorah that we mentioned, so it's ma'akev, it's problematic for all of the parts of the menorah. We need all these details to be exact and intact. We're going to move on to the next halacha, halacha Dalid. V'amed dvarim amurim v'shasu azov. Aval sha'ar minim atoches ein eisen bagvim kafterim uprachim. Now the Rambam says that when is this ma'akev? When do we have the flowers and the cups and the buttons? Only if the menorah is made out of gold. Now sometimes the menorah could be made out of other metals, of other materials. It could be made out of silver, Other materials we know, for example, in the Chashmonai, when they came on Hanukkah, so it's stated that they weren't able to bring a menorah right away out of gold, so they had a menorah out of a different material. But if it's not made out of gold, then you don't need these gvim. You don't make gvim, kafterim, and brachim. You don't make the buttons, cups, and flowers. Also, when you make a menorah out of gold, it has to be out of the same kikar, out of the same piece of gold. Like we know that Moshe Rabbeinu, the way he made the menorah, he wasn't able to connect different parts. He had to take one piece of gold, and out of that, to knock out the shape and form of the menorah. V'ti yakula miksha minashasis v'shel shayim nematachis in makbidin al mishkala v'maisa chalula ksheda. And the weight of that whole piece of gold should be it's a kikar. It has to be out of one piece. And it all comes out of that same piece of gold. But if it's made out of other metals, then we're not makbid on how much it weighs. And it also says here that if the menorah is hollow, so it's also kosher. Okay, so we're going to stop here. The last halacha is saying that if it's made out of other metals, you don't make it out of the leftovers of the metals. So now we went through these halachas of the Rambam. So obviously we'll show now the drawing of the Rambam. And on that, we'll see a few very geschmack sichos of the Rebbe. First picture here. Here we go. Here we see a drawing of the Rambam. Now, it seems like there wasn't only one drawing of the Rambam. There are actually a few drawings of the Rambam, of this menorah. I don't know if these drawings are from the Rambam himself or ma'atikim, people who copied it from the Rambam. But if you look in the back of the book of Hilchos Bais Habchirah with the Rebbe's Pirushim, they have over there a few different drawings of the menorah. It's practically the same, just like this one. I mean, slightly different because it's a different drawing, but exact same shape and looks almost the same. You might even not be able to differentiate between one and the other, and they're all like this. So let's just go through the drawing now and compare it with everything that we learned. So let's start from the bottom. You see the yirecha, the base, and coming out of the base, it's a little bit blurry, but you could see 3 raglayim coming out. Those are the 3 raglayim that the Rambam says hold up the base. That the rounded thing on top of the base is resembling a perach. So that's the perach, the flower the Rambam said was on the base. In the center, we have the center branch. So the Rambam says that it has 2 buttons. It had 4 cups and 2 flowers. So that resembles the 3 cups that we see on top, the 3 triangles that we see on top of this branch, the center branch. On top of it, we see a circle, which is the button. On top of it, it looks like the cup of the menorah, but it resembles the flower that's on top. And then below the 3 buttons, we see also these 3 symbols, which represent a flower, a button, and a cup. Then the Rambam said that in the center, we have 3 buttons. So those are the 3 circles that we see over there. It's mentioned they were like apples. In other words, Meshukada means that they're going outward. They're like more like apples. And then we see on each one of the branches, we see the triangles resemble the cups. And then we have each one has a button and each one has a flower on top. So this is the shape of the menorah as brought down in the Rambam. Now, just interesting to know, let's see the next 2 pictures so we'll see it in color, and we can mention also where the menorah was. We'll go to the next picture. Interesting, this I took from a Not Lubavitcher book, but it's so famous, the Rebbe's shita of the menorah. They bring different shitas about the menorah, lav dafka, the rounded and straight part, actually other details which we'll speak about also today. So besides they bring a shita according to Rashi, according to other days, they bring dat Rabbi Milubavitch, as you can see under the menorah. And here it's like more of a picture based on what the Rambam drew. You could see how these flowers and cups stand out, the mishukadim part of it, the base, the branches. And here you could see it in a more boilet way. We'll move on to the next picture. Here you could see how the menorah is in the Heichel. So the menorah standing right outside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The curtain that we see in the background is the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The menorah, the shulchan, and the mizbeach hakteres are all in the Kodesh. So as we mentioned in the previous Yurim, the Heichel has three parts. It has the Kodesh HaKadoshim where the Aron is. Then you have the Kodesh where we have the menorah, the shulchan, and the mizbeach hakteres. And before that we have the ulam that we spoke about before also in previous Yurim, which was the whole way going in to the Heichel of the Beis Hamikdash. Now here we could see also there are three steps going up to the menorah. It's brought that there were three steps for the three times that it's mentioned in the Torah. The kohen would go on it in order that he shouldn't pick up his head. He shouldn't pick his hand above the tzitz to light the menorah. And interesting, we see here the right the right over here would be tzafin, the left would be darim, the curtain would be in the ma'irav, and where you see the mizbeach hakteres, that's more towards the mizrach. So in other words, the right would be north, the left would be the south, the back would be the west, and where the mizbeach hakteres is, that would be the eastern side of this drawing, of this picture. Now we see the menorah here is going from north to south, but according to some opinions, the menorah is directed from mizrach to ma'irav. In other words, that it's the other way around, facing, let's say, going towards the Kodesh HaKadosh. So these are a few interesting halachas and details about the menorah. Now let's go and learn a little bit from the Rebbe's teachings on the concept of the menorah. So the Rebbe, this one we'll show in a minute. We'll show that picture. We'll get to it in a minute in the Sikh. So in this, the Rebbe speaks about the halachas in Rambam that speak about the menorah. And the Rebbe is medayik in the details about the menorah. Now, before we go into the details in the Rambam's picture, let's speak a little bit more general, a few general points about the menorah. First of all, who made the menorah? So it's what in Torah it's what that Hashem showed Moshe the menorah, and that Moshe had a hard time understanding how out of one kikar zahav he's going to be able to make the full menorah with its flowers and its cups and its whole shape, and it has to be only out of one piece. You can't connect pieces together, and he had a hard time understanding it. So it's brought down that Rashi brings that Hashem told him, first Hashem showed him the shape, and he still wasn't able to form it. So Hashem tells him, throw the kikar into the fire, and the menorah will become. And that's what happened. So Be'etzem, the menorah was shaped by Hashem. We have different kelim in the Beis HaMikdash that Betzalel formed, or the people who were helping Betzalel and Aliyav to build the different kelim in the Beis HaMikdash that they built. But we have a kli in the Beis HaMikdash, the menorah, that was actually built by Hashem. And as we'll see, that the menorah has a very special message to the world, that Hashem is with the Yidden, and having a kli in the Beis HaMikdash shaped by Hashem, so that obviously brings out that message in a very special way. Talking about lighting the menorah, especially today that it's Aron HaKohen's yard site. So there's always a famous teaching that the Rebbe teaches us that Aron lights the menorah. He had to light the candle until the candle lit on its own, which this represents that when you're mekarev another yid, so it should be till that the yid is able to shine by himself. That you shouldn't have to be constantly helping him for his Yiddishkeit or Chassidishkeit to shine, but you should help him to the extent that he should be able to shine on his own. In the Sichos of Tafshin and Aleph, the Rebbe mentions also about mechanchim and parents. The way you have to teach children, the way you should teach a student, is not only in a way that he has to come constantly to the teacher in order to be able to continue on, but the way that you're mechanech the child and you're mechanech the student is that you give him the ability to be able to shine on his own. Not only that, that sicha the Rebbe brings that you put in a child's room a chitas or a pushka, and you put it in such a way and in such a place that the chitas or the chumash, the siddur, calls out to the child. The chitas itself, the pushka itself, is like calling out to the kid, and it makes the child want to give tzedakah, to want to learn the sefer that he has in his room. Now, I want to mention, before we go on to the Sikha of the Rebbe, which speaks about the picture, that the drawing that the Rambam made, I want to mention a Gemara in Menachem that the Rebbe will also quote in this Sikha. And the Gemara says that the Gemara asks a question: why do we need a menorah on the Beis Hamikdash? Why do we need candles? Why do we need candles in the Beis Hamikdash? L'chaira, the Yidden in the Midbar, we traveled by Hashem's light. In other words, does Hashem need light? Why do we have a menorah in the Beis Hamikdash? Does Hashem need light? In the Midbar, we traveled by Hashem's light. Hashem doesn't need our light. So why do we have the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash? So the Gemara explains that the light of the menorah is not in order to light up the Beis Hamikdash. Rather, it's a message to the whole entire world that Hashem is with the Yidden. The Gemara brings that every day when the Kohen would light the candles, he would put the same amount of oil in all the candles, but there was one candle, that candle was the Ner HaMa'aravi, and no matter how much, even though all the oil, the Ner HaMa'aravi was always shining the next day. In the morning, there was a point that they would clean out the candles that went out. They used to put in new oil, new wicks, and always the Ner HaMa'aravi was shining when the Kohen came in. It was a nace that happened in the Beis Hamikdash. And this was a sign to all nations that Hashem is with the Yidden. Hashem makes us nisim, and the menorah was a sign that Hashem is with the Yidden. So basically, the menorah is not in the Beis Hamikdash in order to light up the Beis Hamikdash. The menorah is in the Beis Hamikdash to light up the whole entire world and to show the whole world that Hashem is with the Yidden. And here the Gemara also brings a very interesting point about the windows of the Beis Hamikdash. Now, today, I don't know if this is such a big thing in the way we make houses today, but many years ago, when you had houses that had very thick walls and you didn't have any electricity, so the light that came from the outside was very important. And you had to shape the windows in a way that it would bring in the most light. You'd have to shape the windows in a way that it would bring in the most light. So usually the way to bring in the most light is that the inside gets wider. When the window is shaped in a way that the inside gets wider, so no matter where the sun is shining from, it will let the light come in more easily to the room. Now we're talking about a thick wall. We're talking years ago. I mean, the walls were very thick. So if the window is straight and flat, so at some point when the sun will shine in, it will make a shadow and the light will be blocked. So when you shape the window and you make it going inward, so no matter where the sun is coming from, it won't block the light of the sun and it will bring in more light. It's brought about the Beis Hamikdash, and to mention also from Yechezkel speaking about the third Beis Hamikdash, the shapes of the windows were narrow in the inside and wide towards the outside. Now, if we're talking about the architecture of the Beis Hamikdash, l'cha'era, it should have been the other way around. It should have been narrow in the outside and wide towards the inside to let more light come in. But here the Gemara explains that the Beis Hamikdash, we don't need the light from outside. We go by Hashem's light. Hashem doesn't need light in order to shine the Beis Hamikdash. The reason why we have the windows shaped towards the outside is because the Beis Hamikdash is there to give light to the whole entire world. Again, we don't need the light from the outside. We want to shine. The Beis Hamikdash represents that Hashem's light shines to the whole entire world and bringing the message that Hashem loves the Yidden and Hashem is constantly with the Yidden. So again, in short, what we just mentioned, that the menorah was in the Beis Hamikdash. Hashem doesn't need the light of the menorah. The menorah came to show that Hashem is with the Yidden. And the menorah is there to bring light to the whole entire world. And that's also the way that the windows were shaped. the windows were shaped in a way that it wasn't bringing the light to inside of the Heichal, rather it was shaped in a way that the Beis HaMikdash is shining and sending out light to the whole entire world, bringing out this special message that Hashem is with the Yidden. Now we're going to go back to the Sikh of the Rebbe about the shape and the different details in the Menorah. So even before we speak about the famous chiddush or the famous detail that the Rebbe specified so much about Knei HaMenorah, about the branches of the Menorah that they were straight, we'll speak about that in a few minutes. Let's speak about the cups of the Menorah. Let's show again the picture that we showed before, the first drawing of the Rambam of the Menorah, and we're going to see a few very interesting details. Let's go back to the first picture. So here we see the Rambam's drawing. So again, we have one thing that is different from many pictures, the konim, the branches, which we're going to speak about in a few minutes. But there's another very interesting detail in the Menorah that we see that the cups of the Menorah, we said the triangles resemble the cups, are upside down. In other words, the wide part is down and the narrow part is on the top. Now, b'derech klal, when we do a mitzvah, so the mitzvah has to be kederech dilasa. We do the mitzvah the way it grows. When you hold the esrog, you hold it with the pitim to the top, because that's the way the esrog grows. And so the lulav, you don't hold the lulav upside down, you hold it with the spitz upward, because that's the way it grows. When you do a mitzvah, you want to do it kederech dilasa. Now, we all know, interesting, the Rambam explains what kind of cups they were. It's called cups from Alexandria, which maybe we could say it's like the cups that we have today, that they're a little bit narrower on the bottom, and they're a little bit wider on the top. And we all know that the way it works is you put the cup on the table, the narrow part goes on the bottom, the wide part is in order to receive the beverage that you're going to put inside. So the narrow part should be downward, and the wider part should be upward. But we see here on the Menorah that the Rambam does this not only once, not only twice, but 22 times. The Rambam shapes the cups of the Menorah that the wider part is downward. And the Rebbe asks, L'chaira, what's going on over here? L'chaira, the cups of the Menorah should be derech dilasa. It should be the way that the cup is used. And the cup is usually used with the wider part upward in order to have to put in the beverage that you're putting inside the cup. And the narrow part should be downward. And we see 22 times the Rambam is making these cups upside down. The Rebbe also mentions that the son of the Rambam, Rebbe Avram, mentioned how this picture is very exact. And there are different things to learn out of it. And yes, you know what? If it would be once, even though it wouldn't be something so straight to say that the Rambam made a mistake in his picture or he wasn't so makbid, when you look at this picture, you see how exact the Rambam was. It looks like everything was made with a ruler, with a compass. Everything is exact. The circles are exact. The lines are straight. Every detail is exact in this picture. So to say that the Rambam wasn't precise of the direction that he made the cups is a little bit far-fetched to say, and especially when it's done 22 times. So again, the Rebbe asks, why does the Rambam choose this way, that the cups should be facing downward? The wider part is downward. So just before we explain this, here in Mexico, the Rebbe speaks very much about Hilchos Bais Habchirah, and we should go out and tell Yidden about Hilchos Bais Habchirah. So we made different flyers about Inyanim in the Beis HaMikdash in order that people should be able to learn it. So here we made a flyer about the Menorah, beautiful flyer based on the Sichos of the Rebbe and the Halachos, the Mishnayos, and the Gemaras that speak about the Menorah, so people could be Mekayim the Inyan of Bais Habchirah. And when we speak about the cups, so on the back, we have here a picture of the Rebbe. Oops, see if you can see it. We have here a picture of the Rebbe, and it's a picture of the Rebbe by Keshel Bracha. And basically, we're bringing out the point of the Sikha that when we speak about the use of a cup, it depends what its use is. Is a cup there to sit on the table, or is a cup there to pour? In other words, when we speak about the Menorah, and we speak about the Gevei HaMenorah, about the cups, the use of the cup is not just to sit on the table, rather to pour from the cup. And when you pour from the cup, you turn over the cup. If the cup is there just to receive, just to get, then you put it upward. But the cup has another use. The cup is there in order to pour out, then the cup is upside down. So the Rebbe explains, when the menorah has the message of not just bringing light to the Beis Hamikdash and lighting it in order to light up the Beis Hamikdash, the menorah has the message that we're here to light up the whole entire world. The menorah is giving outwards. The menorah, just like the windows of the Beis Hamikdash, is there to shine towards the outside. So when we have the cups of the Beis Hamikdash, very interesting. The Rebbe brings a Bechayah, Rabbi Bechayah, that he explains that the cups resemble the Galgalim, that they receive the hashpah from above, and it gives over this hashpah to the world. It has this concept of being mashpia, not only of being mekabel, not only of receiving light, but the menorah has the message that Hashem is shining to the whole entire world and giving over the message that Hashem is with the Yidden, and that the Yidden are there to be an example to all nations, and not only to in a more personal sense, that we're not only here to strive in Torah and mitzvahs in our own lives, but we have to be a cup like the menorah to shine to others. The use of a cup is not only to receive, but we have to be there also to help others. So in this sikha, the Rebbe brings also a message that we have to learn from the menorah. We shouldn't just be a cup that sits there and receives, and we make sure that we're keeping Torah and mitzvahs the way it should be, but we have to be upside down cups. Just like the menorah has upside down cups, teaching us to shine outward, each one of us, every yid, should be an upside down cup. Obviously, we have to receive and we have to learn, but we have to make sure also to be mashpia to others. We have to make sure also to bring out this message, the message of Torah and mitzvahs, and to be a light to the nations and to shine outwards like the upside down cups of the menorah. The Rebbe adds another point, just like it's heipech of derech dilason. A cup settles when you put it down on its base, but the cup goes out of its norm in order to be mashpia to someone else. So too, we should go out of our comfort zone to help and to be mashpia to another yid. Let's go on to the next point of the menorah. Let's go on to the next point of the menorah, which are the branches of the menorah. And as we saw in the drawing of the Rambam makes straight branches. And bepashtos, straight branches is a davar pashut. That's what's mashma from the pasuk. That's what's mashma from Rashi. That's the way the Rambam draws the menorah. It's a davar pashut that the menorah should be straight, with straight branches. So where does it come, this interesting idea that the menorah is rounded? So this comes from Shar Titus. When the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, Titus brought all the Yidden to Rome, and he took with him also different kalim, and some kalim of the Beis Hamikdash. And in order to humiliate the Yidden, he made a big shard, a big arch, and in there he engraved Yidden being captured, and they're carrying with them kalim from the Beis Hamikdash. And one of these kalim is the menorah. So now, even though we have the Rambam, Rashi, and Kana, when we speak about kanim are reeds. It's something that is straight. You could go see what a kana looks like. A kana is something straight. But however, when you look at this arch, and seemingly if they were the ones who took the Yidden to Rome, it seems like they saw the menorah and they're making it round. So it became an idea that most probably the menorah was rounded, even though it's not mashma like that from Rashi, from the Rambam. But still, that's where came the idea that maybe the menorah was rounded. And a lot of people, when they shape the menorah, they shape it rounded. Before we go on, so I wanted to mention another sikh of the Rebbe. Besides the famous sikh of the menorah had the upside down cups, the straight branches, there's another sikh of the Rebbe that speaks about the tzitz. Let's show the last picture now of the tzitz. The tzitz was a tass of gold, and it said on it, Kodesh LaHashem, Kodesh Le Yudke Vavke. That's what it said on the tzitz, and this was on the forehead of the kohen. Now there are different opinions how it said Kodesh LaHashem, and the main opinion is like what we see over here. Kodesh is on the lower line, and above it says LaHashem. Kodesh, and on top it says La Hashem. Actually, I'm not sure if it was Kodesh La Hashem the way they put it here. It could be that the Lamed was also on the bottom. I'm not sure, but there are two different opinions of how it said Kodesh La Hashem. Now the Rebbe brings there's a Gemara that and there's a machlekes between the Chachamim and Rebbe Eliezer ben Rabbi Yossi. The Chachamim say that the tzitz was like we see over here, Kodesh, and on top it says La Hashem. And Rabbi Eliezer ben Yossi says, 1 second, I want to tell you something. I actually went to Rome and I saw the tzitz, and the tzitz doesn't say it like that, Kodesh La Hashem on two different lines, La Hashem on the top. It says Kodesh La Hashem on the same line. This is what Rabbi Eliezer ben Rabbi Yossi said. I went to Rome, I saw the tzitz, and Chachamim, I know you're saying that it's on two shittim, that it's on two lines, but I saw the tzitz in Rome, and it was in one same line. Interesting, even though that Rabbi Eliezer ben Rabbi Yossi says that he saw the tzitz and it was in the same line, the Rambam paskins that Kodesh La Hashem is like the day of Chachamim, and it's on two different lines. In other words, seemingly the halacha is like Chachamim, not like Rabbi Eliezer ben Rabbi Yossi, that he actually saw it. The halacha is like the Chachamim. And the Rebbe explains why. And here the Rebbe connects it also with the menorah, that we have a Masorah, that the menorah was straight branches. However, you go and you see a Shar Titus, that it seems like the branches of the menorah are rounded. And we could think that whoever made that arch is like an aid. He actually saw the menorah. So maybe even though Rashi and the Rambam, maybe they didn't see that arch and they drew or they explained the menorah was straight. But when you have the Eid Riyah, when you have the arch, that they were Kaviyachol, the ones who took the menorah and they're making it round, so maybe really the menorah is rounded. The Rebbe says from here we learn something very special. The Rambam is teaching us that even though Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi saw the tzitz, since the Chachamim have a Masorah that the tzitz was on two different lines, so they tell Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi, very nice that you saw it and you saw it on two different lines. We're still maintaining our opinion that it was on two different lines. But he saw the tzitz. So the Rebbe explains different ways that maybe the tzitz that he saw wasn't the real tzitz, and maybe when the Romans came in, so the Yidden put a different tzitz in order that they shouldn't take it away, and they really put away the real tzitz from the Kohen Gadol. And how could you make a tzitz like the tzitz in the Bais Hamikdash, and why would someone make a fake tzitz? It goes on and on, but it could be in a far-fetched way that it was a different tzitz. And since we have a Masorah that the tzitz is on two different lines, that's the way the Chachamim had the Masorah. So even though Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yossi says that he saw it, we maintain our Masorah, the way that the Chachamim told it to us. And the Rebbe connects this also with the menorah. You go to Shar Titus and you see a menorah which l'cheira is a Eid Riyah. They apparently saw the menorah. Says the Rebbe, we maintain the Deya and the Masorah that we got from our Chachamim, from the Rambam, from Rashi, that we know that Al Pi Torah and the Masorah that we have, the Rambam is straight. Like the Rambam was so medayik to make the menorah with straight branches. The Rambam had a compass. When you look at the base, you could see he was able to make a circle, no problem. But he was medayik to make straight lines. And so too Rabbi Avram, the son of the Rambam, says the Rambam was medayik in these details. So when we have a Masorah, even though it might be that you could see a Diriyah, and it looks and it might seem that they say otherwise, but we will take our Masorah. Why did they make a round menorah? The Rebbe goes on with the same, which you could think that it's far, but look, we're going to take anything that it takes. We're going to go by our Masorah. It could be that before the Romans came in order that they shouldn't take the menorah, and the Rebbe brings an opinion the menorah was actually hidden under the Bais Hamikdash together with certain special kalim. So in order, since the Romans knew what the menorah looked like, so maybe they put in a fake menorah from somewhere else. In those days, many people had menorahs. And the Rebbe mentioned another very interesting point. The rounded menorah on Shar Titus, on its base, has a tzuras darkei. It has like certain dragons shaped on the menorah. In Hilchos Avodah Zarah, the Rambam explains that dragons are a symbol of Avodah Zarah. And obviously you could imagine that the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash didn't have dragons on it. So besides the fact that it's not straight branches, for many other reasons, that menorah doesn't match the menorah that we have the Maseidah from the Chachamim that has the straight branches. And the Rebbe teaches us here a very strong point. In other words, again, in order to explain and to maintain our Maseidah, we have to think a little bit far. That when the Romans came, they switched the menorah. Where did they get another menorah from? But they did. They took another menorah, and then the menorah they took away was a different menorah. The Rebbe says it could be it was B'chala menorah of Avodah Zarah because it has dragons on it. But yes, we will take all this. But the main thing is Ma'aseh b'Payil. When we will maintain how it is, we're going to go with the day of our Chachamim. We're going to take our Maseidah just like by the tzitz that lahalacha l'maaseh. Even after Rabbi Yossi says that he saw it, we still maintain the halacha like Chachamim. Interesting, but the evid that works like Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yossi, but the evid the tzitz that's made like that is also kosher. But however, halacha l'maaseh l'chatchila, even though he saw it, we maintain like that's Chachamim because that's the main approach. The Rebbe here, once we know that la halacha, and according to the Rambam and Rashi, the menorah is straight, the Rebbe asks very much that when we make a picture of the menorah, we should make it with straight branches. Because the menorah, as we mentioned before, has a message that the Yidden are light to the nations. We are here to inspire and to be a light to everyone else. And on the arch of Titus Arasha, there's a phrase that's engraved in that shard, and it says Yuda Kapta. It says that the Jews are captured. The menorah has the exact opposite message of Yuda Kapta. The menorah has the message that the Yidden are a light to the nation, and the Yidden are the chosen nation of Hashem. So therefore, the Rebbe asks, when you make a tzura, when you make a drawing of the menorah, if anyone here is a mechaneches, and sometimes you print out pictures of menorahs, as we know in the Mashiach times and other publications, the Rebbe was always medayik that the menorahs should be straight and the luchas should be straight. And it's a very important detail to focus on, that when we make a picture of the menorah, being that we want to bring out the message of the menorah, we want to bring out the message that a Yidden are a light to the nations, to try to make the menorah straight and not rounded, which has the exact opposite message. Like we mentioned before, we don't want to bring out the message of Titus, we want to bring out the message of the light of the menorah, that we are a light to the nations. Again, so just to mention what we spoke about today in the shir. One more point that the Rebbe mentioned in this sikha. The Rebbe mentions that there were certain megillas that were found of Tanakh in the Yam HaMelech. They found certain scrolls, and these scrolls don't always match our Maseidah. So the Rebbe says we take the same shita, even though you'll find these scrolls, and these scrolls are maybe thousands of years old, but still, being that we have a Maseidah that it's a certain way, we won't change our Maseidah for these scrolls that were found. And it could be that Bechlal, that they were nignas, that they put it away because they weren't 100% the way they should have been, and therefore they were nignas. So let's just, in short, recap of what we spoke about today. We spoke about the menorah. We said that the menorah was actually a kli made by Hashem, because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand how to make it. Hashem made this kli, and again, being that it's a kli that shows how Hashem is with the Yidden, you have this message very strongly with the fact that Hashem made the menorah. We spoke about the upside down cups of the menorah, which resemble how a Yid should be mashpia and help help another Yid to influence towards the outside, even when it's not our comfort zone, to go out of our comfort zone to help another Yid. And obviously we have the message of Shetehei Shaleves Oilo Mehilel, that when you help another Yid, you should help him to the extent that he should be able to shine on his own. I sent a video also to be shown of Shar Titus. There's a famous video, and I think maybe it's appropriate to show it here, being that we were speaking today about this Sikh of the Rebbe, Rabbi Gershon Mendel Gerelik, that he actually went to the Shar Titus and he showed everyone what's the real Tzuras HaMenorah. And if it works, maybe they could show it here. A second. think there's a problem with the sound. I wasn't able to hear. I'll mention what Rabbi Gershon Mendel is saying over here. Basically, we're showing everyone that the Menorah in the background is obviously not the real Menorah, like the Rebbe tells us. And the real Menorah is like the one that he's holding over there, that it has the shape of the Rambam. And he's telling everyone, how did the round Menorah come about? Because of Galus, because so many Yidden were murdered because of Titus, and because of Galus. Only from there could come out a Metzias that you could think that the Menorah is round, but obviously the Menorah and the real message of the Menorah is the straight Menorah. So may we see it soon, right away, with the coming of Mashiach, the Menorah B'Yameinu Mamish. We'll continue with the next year, B'ezras Hashem, on Wednesday.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Mayzlesh. Thank you for sharing your enthusiasm on the subject. It's really helpful to learn in such a way and to make it, and makes it very practical. Just to clarify, and what I said before about the 5 levels of, or